Hey everybody, Zoast here with Super Metroid 100%. Zoast here with Super Metroid 100%. I'm joined with my friend Shiny Zinni, also another amazing 100% runner. I'm just going to go ahead and get into the run real quick, and we can talk more from there.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, I'm gonna count it off. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
All right, so do you want to start talking about the run, or do you want me to do some introductions here about what we're doing today?
I'll just say that 100% Super Metroid is collecting all the items, and that's there. We have other completionist categories, but this is by far the most competitive and the main completion category for this game.
Yeah, absolutely. So there are 100 items that he'll be picking up, so 1% per item essentially. The game actually does some weird calculations in how it comes to that percentage, but to keep it simple, we'll just say 1% per item. So we're starting off here on Ceres Station. You'll notice Zoast is taking damage from Ridley intentionally. That's because once Samus reaches a certain health threshold, that just ends the fight. And now we have the escape sequence. One thing that you'll notice Zoast doing periodically through the run is moving the arm cannon up and down. That's called arm pumping. And essentially every time he does that, Samus moves forward 1 pixel. So it's a really subtle way to go just a little bit faster. It saves a handful of seconds throughout the run.
It's pretty lucky
Nice
Ceres
child.
Station. Yeah, it's pretty lucky Ceres Station.
High 46, man. Nothing to sneeze at.
Probably could have done better than the 4671, but play a little safe in room 4 for Marathon.
All right. So we're going to be landing on planet Zebus now. This is where the rest of the run will take place. So no more, interplanetary travel here.
Yeah.
And
I was going to say, if you're interested in this run, you don't have to do this route. There are many different routes and variations of the route you can do that make this run easier. Just want to throw that out there.
yeah, absolutely. So the nice thing about 100% is essentially you're grabbing all of the resources that you have access to, which makes it probably the easiest category to finish without trouble, I guess. Not that, you can grab extra safeties in any percent as well, but the more you do that, the more out of the way you're going, and 100% that's not an issue at all. So the route that Zoast is running is currently the most optimized human route, which means there are a couple of tight spots where things can get a little bit dangerous. And then there are a couple other spots where it's possible to lose a lot of time if you mess up some tricks, but nothing too bad, really.
So in this run, in Super Metroid runs in general, you'll see a lot of hitbox manipulation for like ledge grabbing and stuff. So when Samus is spinning, she has the hitbox isn't as tall. So you can use that to your advantage by immediately extending with like an angle press or a shot, or a lot of different ways to sort of expand your hitbox vertically and immediately land on things. You'll see that all throughout the run.
Yeah, the way that it was explained to me when I was first learning about ledge grabs was that you sort of snap Samus onto the platforms. It looks really natural in a lot of ways, which is kind of cool, but it's one of the very small optimizations that runners do throughout the entire run that isn't immediately noticeable if you don't know what you're looking for. Nice climb there.
Whoops. Immediately messed up when you said something.
Commentator's curse, man.
Yeah, it's real.
Bad.
Nah, it's okay.
So Zost is heading into Bomb Chorizo now, and essentially the goal of this fight is to grab the bombs and then do, I think it's 900 damage as quickly as possible. So he's going to start off with 5 P shots, and then he'll finish the rest of the fight with missiles. It's important that you only do damage in sets of 100 though, or else Bomb Chorizo has some extra animations that take time.
Got enough missiles. It's good. You want to have full health coming into that fight too, because you want to manipulate missile drops from all the drops. Otherwise, you'll get health drops too, and you won't have the firepower to kill Bomb Chorizos quickly.
Yeah, he likes to troll. Anytime that you get to him on a good pace, he likes to troll and drop missiles in a way that you end up grabbing all of them, and you have to essentially do an extra round in the fight.
Yeah, even if you do correctly, like get there with full health, a lot of times it gets, yeah, you get some bad luck there.
Let me know when's a good time for donation, fellas.
You can go now if you want.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, awesome. So we got a $10.69 donation by Nate, who fixed the donation counter. And then Martha Sarected with a $15.59 donation saying an even round number for the frames. And then Adam, you know, the beloved CO, donated $102.14 and says, I've calculated the outcome of Samus's next mission and have established that unless the Etacoons and Decoras are saved, Samus won't make it off the BSL station in time. For that reason, I shall level the playing field. The animals must be saved, for Samus needs to be saved. Any objections, lady? Which brings Save or Kill the Animals to a tie at $1,600.
Uh-oh.
You know, I can't speak for Samus. She and I get in fights a lot of the time because, you know, I do runs of this game too, and I think Zost can probably attest to this. She doesn't like being told what to do sometimes. So yeah, I can't speak for Samus, but as a runner, we got to kill those animals. We just have to. So get those donations in, because saving is slow.
But it's the right thing to do.
You gotta weigh in, Zost.
I don't want to be biased. It's all good either way, really.
What if you're on world record pace?
Oh my god.
Oh, wait. I remember. I don't remember which one it was. But at GDQ, that one run where you were on world record pace, save was ahead, and you missed the baby skip. And I was like, feeling bad, but also I was like, yes, at least, you know, like, on the wrong side of the world record.
Well, the thing was like, it actually wasn't world record pace. The commentator was wrong about that.
Oh.
So the commentator, he's like a really knowledgeable Desert. He's really knowledgeable about the game, but he's more of a 100% runner kind of. So he was like, he wasn't thinking of how long it takes for any percent to finish Turian. I think he was thinking more of 100% or something. I don't know. Like, it was a really good run at the time. It was a really great run, still, but it wasn't quite on world record pace.
Yeah, there's like a minute discrepancy there, isn't there? Between any percent and 100% on like good Turian completion times.
Yeah, I think I was closer than a minute from world record in that run, but it was like 30 seconds behind, I believe.
Wow.
It was still really good at the time, though.
I guess we should keep talking about the run, huh? So Zost has grabbed Charge Beam. He's leaving Green Brinstar now. He's going to be entering Red Brinstar. Essentially, he is... the first thing that he's going to do is actually something that only Zost is doing 100% right now, where he actually goes up here instead of down. And what he's doing is he's grabbing power bombs just a little bit early. This does take, I think it's like an extra 40-second detour or something. But it allows him to essentially get a missile pack in Kraid's lair that he won't have to return for later, and so the time kind of balances out.
Yeah, that's if you account for the fact that you would have to go here anyway. But like the detouring itself is 40 seconds, but like the whole trip is like 80 seconds or something. But you have to come here to get these items anyway later. So
Yep.
But it's pretty much. I mean, it's like it's crazy how identical it is as far as routing goes. I just prefer this route, so it's not anything like that I do to gain an edge so much as it is just my preference.
Yeah, there's a lot of nuance to ways that you can save time with the early power bombs, and so it's hard to say definitively if one is faster than the other, but either way it's probably within a couple seconds difference, so it really does just come down to preference there.
I sort of timed it when I was converting other people's the top 4 like other runs, or the top 3 other runs to my own split, so I could put comparisons up, and it still seems like within a second or something. It's crazy.
Yeah. Someday I'll redo a splice that I feel confident in. Alright, so Zost just picked up the Spazer beam. This makes his beam much taller and does more damage. Honestly, it's a pretty good upgrade compared to the regular beam. It gets a lot of hate from old any % runners, though.
Like me.
Because later on, we're going to be getting a beam that supersedes it. So you gotta love Spazer Zost. Come on. Excellent beam.
It's only good because it's fast to grab.
You're killing those Zelas in one shot.
If
it takes 2.
If it only took 20 seconds to get plasma, we would skip right past it 90%.
All right, so these are the missiles that I was referencing earlier. Essentially, in the other 100% routes, you'd have to make a return trip here in order to get those. But since he had power bombs the first time through, you can just grab them right now. There goes Mini Kraid. And we're going to enter Kraid's boss room now. Zost is positioning himself on this ledge so that he can optimally shoot missiles and get this Kraid quick kill here.
It's actually like taking damage there. I didn't know that position worked for the missiles until Hoda Ruby posted a strat recently for taking damage there and still having the right position. Because normally normally your position is a little bit further to the left there for the quick kill.
Yep. Yeah, Hoda Ruby. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, thank you. We got a couple donations in actually. So Martha Sar donated $10 saying tiebreaker. And then I replied with a $10 donation saying no. Then he replied with a $10 donation saying I said tiebreaker. Then I replied with another $10 donation saying and I said no. And then Shokushu donated $20 saying here's my contribution to SGQF server hosting fee. Love. PS. Kill the animals. And then I replied with a $20 donation saying SGQF is indeed great, but so is saving the animals. And then Martha Sar came back with $10 saying a tiebreaker. I'll be right back.
You know, this seems kind of biased here. You know,
money is money.
These donations. All right, so Zost is heading down into Norfair now. He grabbed the Varia suit, which protects him from heat damage, and that's Norfair for you. It's a very hot area, so that's why we want to grab Varia suit first before coming down here.
Yeah, the task actually delays going to Kraid. I think it still does, doesn't it?
Honestly, I don't remember what the 100% task routing is like at this point because it's just so
it's crazy
far out from what humans can do.
At the very least,
it does.
Yeah, I know traditionally
Ridley,
it does.
Dragon, Fantoon, or something like that. It's like crazy.
Well, I thought it did
Actually,
upper.
No, that's any percent. So, yeah.
I thought it would do upper Norfair and then Kraid to get speed booster for Kraid. I think traditionally it does that. I don't know if it still does that. But you need like 1 million health drops for that. Like perfect health drops and like perfect movement.
Yep. So it's just picked up the high jump boots, which are, in my opinion, pretty underrated as one of the best movement upgrades in this game. Just in terms of pure speed and how much faster they make Samus jump, not just the height, but the speed and how they make Samus jump is huge.
Yeah, having speed booster without high jumps, if you ever play a randomizer or anything, crap. If you ever play randomizer and you have speed booster without high jump, it's really painful because of the way the game calculates jump height.
Yeah, something about the way that they coded it makes it so that sometimes Samus jumps really low when you have speed booster and no high jump, and it just gets really awkward. Alright, so we're coming in here. This room is called the Bat Cave, which is one of my favorite room names, personally. And Zos is coming down these slopes here. He's going to be grabbing speed booster here in just a minute. Spoilers.
Do you want to explain the powerbomb sound cue here?
Yeah, absolutely. This game has a sound cue where essentially a door can't process until the sound cue is clear. And in this room specifically, after you grab speed booster, the lava starts rising and it makes a sound effect as it's rising. So what a power bomb does is it actually overrides that sound effect and allows the door to process immediately. So that's why Zos laid a power bomb there. He'll do it in a couple other places throughout the run. But that is a question that comes up pretty commonly when viewers are watching 100% runs. They just ask, why did you lay a power bomb there? And that's why. It just makes the door go faster.
In that case, it's a quite a small. I guess in most cases that particular trick is a small optimization, but it should save time on average.
Yeah, ultimately I think it's like 5 to 10 frames usually.
Yeah.
But those are the kind of time saves that we look for in this game.
Sure. It's crazy, especially on a run like this that's longer than any percent, like 30 minutes longer or whatever. It's crazy how much that stuff adds up.
It's also crazy how often you see people tying. With like so many different strategies through so many different rooms, and yet you still see people tie, not just in like personal best, but in races,
right,
and things like that all the time. It's pretty crazy. All right, so Zos is finished doing his first Norfair visit here. Essentially, this was just an item cleanup visit. So he came. He's going to be getting Ice Beam on his way out, I believe, and then he'll be going back up. But the main items that we came here for were Speed Booster and High Jump. Ice Beam is just... it is technically required to get Ice Beam at this point in the run for this particular 100% route. But in the alternative 100% routes, it's actually something that we would grab later.
You can grab it early if for like ease, but yeah, ideally for the other main route, you would not grab it yet. Like one of the I guess we can explain some of the overarching like, I don't know how you pronounce that, but like the broad reasons for this route. So like you need Speed Booster to get the reserve tank and wreck ship. That's why you're kind of forced to come down here first. Otherwise, I mean, you could possibly go to wreck ship first, but you're basically forced to do Kraid and then clean up some of Upper Norfair first in this category because of that. Just to get that, there's like some tricks you can use to get that reserve tank, but it'd just be a lot slower.
Yep.
For effectively, you're not supposed to get it, and you can't get it quickly. And then the reason we can't go straight to Lower Norfair from Upper Norfair early is because of the lava chorizo. I'll let you explain that if you don't mind.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll try to remember to point this out when we get there, but there's a statue that Samus needs to morph into to drain some acid, and that statue was actually programmed not to activate unless Samus has a specific item that we're going to be getting in Meridia. And so even though we could technically get down to Lower Norfair with what we have now, without too much trouble as a runner, there is one item specifically that we would not be able to get without some serious shenanigans, is what I'll say.
It's a good way to put it.
And so, yeah, ultimately, that does actually kind of lock our potential routes through 100% quite a bit, which is, it's disappointing in some ways because any percent is so varied in the different ways that you can finish the game. But I think that it helps 100% be a little bit more straightforward as a route in a lot of ways too, which makes it even more impressive when you see people optimizing.
That was a strange ocean fly setup.
See if he gets it.
I won't spoil it.
Very nice. Yep. So this is called Ocean Fly. It's where you do a shine spark all the way from that previous room across what is called Ocean into wrecked ship. And as we enter wrecked ship, it's actually all of the power is off, which is why it's all dark. And you'll notice these spikes aren't moving and they don't damage Samus because apparently when spikes are stationary, they don't hurt. But yeah, Zost is going to be heading down to fight the boss of this area.
They're electric spikes, man. They don't hurt without electricity.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. The electricity, messes with Samus's suit. Yeah, totally. So this is Phantoon. He can give a fast, medium, or a slow pattern. Slow is roughly 20 seconds longer than a fast, depending on how you handle the patterns. And so obviously we're hoping for a fast here, but
yeah,
it wasn't a fast. It wasn't a mid or medium, so
a mid.
Starting off with a slow.
Started way too early there.
So that was a fast pattern, but he wasn't quite able to close the fight there. So a slow, fast. That's honestly, that's not bad.
No, that Phantoon showed mercy on the third round. A rare case of Phantoon showing mercy.
Yeah, usually if you miss a fast as a way to close out a round, just because Phantoon is so mean, he'll usually give you a slow after that, just to put salt in the wound. All right, so as I mentioned earlier, there are a couple of spots throughout the run that can be pretty dangerous if you're not careful, wrecked ship being one of those. This route brings us to wrecked ship with less overall energy than one of the alternative routes, and so even though there isn't a huge amount of danger, and Zost is one of the best runners in the world for this game, he'll probably still be taking some safeties here to make sure that we don't run into any issues.
Yeah, luckily I have a pretty good health count, but you still don't want to mess around too much with the spiky room of death.
Yeah,
it can get out of hand sometimes.
Yeah, when new runners start running 100%, a lot of the time they feel immortal because it's 100%, even in the other route, and then they just aren't paying attention and they die in Spiky Room of Death, which is coming up here in just a few seconds.
Yeah, this would be it right here.
Let me know when we have a good time for a couple of donations.
This should be good.
Yeah. Coming up in just a minute. I want to explain this.
Okay.
This next room. So another thing about this route is that we don't have grapple beam at the moment, and normally in order to get this item, the developers intended that you use grapple beam to swing across this water. So you'll notice Zo's doing a bomb jump here to get across the gap to grab this energy tank. Prior to that bomb jump method being used, runners would just try to run and jump across the gap, which is really hard with speed and high jump. I think Zost actually has a split segment named SM Frustration Style because of that specifically. You can correct me if I'm wrong on that.
I don't really want to go through why my splits are named. It would be like a long story that would.
Yeah, that's fair. All right, go ahead with the donations.
Okay, so to finish the saga of the fight between me and Martha Sar donating back and forth between save and kill the animals, I donated a final $10 saying, I will refinance my damn house if I have to. And Ben Schoslai donated $50 saying, we need to save the animals, at least they are my friends. And it seems all the people who are for killing the animals are not. I'm taking names. And then we have Sikri who donated $10 saying, because I'm a meow and because I want to be a meow, I donate to save the pixels of the animal. I'm not Sawi. And then Bernie donated $15 saying, here's $15 for a pack of tie wrap. Stop breaking the tie, damn it. And Jal Bagel. I love Jal Bagel. Jal Bagel is going to be doing the bonus run if we reach our initial goal of $20,000 before the end of the event. And Jal Bagel is a great guy. But Jal Bagel also donated $250 towards killing the animals, saying, punished myself with a Monster Hunter World Randomizer tournament, took home the gold to donate this to EJI. And since it was a Monster Hunter tournament, we need to kill the animals.
All right. Well, thanks for all those donations. They spared me from having to explain those very complicated rooms that Zos just went through. So nice.
It kind of messed up Attic anyway, so maybe it's better you didn't explain what happened in some of them.
Attic strats, basically something power bombs, short charge, jump, right, left, something.
Zos is coming up to a room called bowling here, and you'll understand why in just a minute. But I just want to point out, you'll notice him shooting some beams into the floor here. And the idea there is that he's actually shooting some robots in the floor to knock them into position.
Oh my god. This is not good.
Well, that's what I get.
Yeah, that was really bad. I took a lot of damage there. You don't want to take that much damage here.
It looked like you hit the first one. I couldn't hear, but...
I don't think I did because I didn't scroll to the right. I accidentally crouch locked myself. So I don't think I hit anything.
So we're going to come down here, and there are some robots that are going to be in the way. And what Zos was trying to do was knock them out of the way to save some time. Valiant effort there. People used to say that was a task-only strat. There's a lot of stuff like that in this game, actually.
So yeah, these robots is what we're trying to avoid having to wait for. Gotta be careful with my health now too, because I took a lot of extra damage trying to recover and actually get those shots.
It's a marathon. Just stop at the ship.
No. I mean, if you're gonna do anything, you could do Gauntlet later, and it's really not a huge deal. But I think
it's like
okay.
a 10-second difference or something.
Yeah, something like that. It's like
awesome strats.
Completely rerouting is faster than going to the ship.
All right, so we have gravity suit now. This allows Samus to move freely through the water, which is awesome. You'll see Zost coming down, grabbing a missile right here. And now our goal is to do some cleanup before heading to Meridia.
So using a bounce ball there instead of a mock ball actually fixes that door. Like, we could talk a little bit about doors maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, so anytime that you enter a door, the game has to center the door before it actually moves into the next room. And so if a door is off-center, it can take up to, in most situations, I'd say about half a second is a bad door transition in terms of the extra time. And so one thing that you'll notice if you pay attention is Zost will often go through a door in such a way that the door only needs to move a small amount before it scrolls left or right.
Oh boy, I'm glad I did the backup for this. The backup way to get up there.
So Zos shot a beam off screen to the right there, which actually opened the door on the left, just because of the way that rooms are laid out of bounds. That allows you to do some crazy doors like that. You'll notice that Zos energy is very low here, which makes it very convenient that there's an energy tank here.
Yeah, after this point, you really don't have to worry about health at all. But yeah, the whole wreck ship sequence, you do have to worry about health in different ways. As far as like not dying before the wreck ship E-tank and having enough to get like over here quickly, do that big shine spark.
Yep, absolutely. So you saw Zos fall down the middle of those crumble blocks right there. That was actually really important that he fall down the middle, because if you fall down only one side, you won't be able to get both of these missile packs, which would require a second visit through this, which loses about a minute, I think, maybe a little more. It's happened to me in some marathon runs that I've done.
Yeah, Zinni plays that a little bit more aggressively as far as like getting on top of the blocks. I'm a little bit safer right now as to getting in the middle.
Well, I have to save those seconds in order to compete with you guys. Okay?
Oh, please.
Lay off. So we're in Green Brinstar doing the item cleanup for this area now.
I don't think we ever explained Moonfall as well. Although there's kind of not one coming up quite yet. Again.
Yeah, I don't think I did. Something that you might notice Zos doing periodically is it will look like he walks backwards and then does a little jump, and then he falls really fast. We call that a moonfall. Essentially, if Samus jumps out of a moonwalk state, it uncaps her fall speed. And so there are a couple places in the run that save actually multiple seconds doing that. One of them is at the very end of the run. The other one was at the very beginning. So that was my bad on not explaining that. But if you ever see Samus doing kind of a little backstep and then falling really fast, that's what's going on there. Moving in through Pink Brinstar. So Zos laid a power bomb in that position. It's not very precise, but it's very specific, the placement, because what it will do is it will break open some blocks here on the left that he needed to clear in order to enter this room. It also opens a door on the right. And here comes a strat that is a lot of people's favorite. It's called Mission Impossible. So essentially, you drop down, you grab those power bombs, and then you jump back up through the gap before the hole closes. Nice short charge. You'll also notice occasionally Zost opening some doors before progressing through a room. If he ever does that, generally the reason there is because those doors can only be opened after killing all the enemies in a room. And so you'll notice that on his way back here, the door is still open without killing the enemies. That's why he opened it.
Hey, I got the shot.
Yeah. Nice.
So this is actually the first super missile you're supposed to get, like logically in the game, but we skipped the Spore Spawn fight, which is the first. Like in pretty much all Super Metroid speedruns, we skipped that sequence of fighting Spore Spawn.
Yeah, nobody cares about Spore Spawn. The developers actually didn't intend for you to be able to do that, but there are some specific positions that you can stand in that allow you to go in through the back, which is why we skip spore spawn.
Yeah, the super block that you shoot out to escape from where that super is, you're not supposed to be able to hit it from the left, but with some very precise positioning, you can sort of get around that and still hit the block and open up the path. Or you can actually like Crystal Flash too to get through it. That's like the really old school way of breaking in there, but
Yeah.
that's like ancient strategy.
And that's technically allowed on some leaderboards that ban other pretty basic things, isn't it?
I think Twin Galaxies would allow that, yes.
Yeah.
Not that they're really particularly relevant to speedrunning, but...
Shots fired, but I was about to say.
Yeah.
You know, I wasn't going to say it, but there we go.
I'll say it.
Listen, man. You're not the true world record holder until you have the flag from Twin Galaxies, okay? Just
Isn't
ask
Billy
Andrew.
Mitchell the official world record holder now?
Oh my god.
Don't sue me, please.
The golden boy.
That was a moonfall right there. Worth pointing out. Alright, so we're going to enter Meridia now, which is the area mostly submerged in water, which is why it's important that we have gravity suit before coming here in 100%. Otherwise, there would be some items that would be very, very difficult in order to get.
Nah, Twin Galaxies, I mean, they have their place for like old school, like arcade leader, like high scores and stuff. Like they do have some really cool people that frequent their boards that do that stuff. But speedrunning is a little bit different.
Yeah, I think they have a lot of history, which is
Yeah.
cool, for sure. This room has a turtle that actually does a lot of damage if you anchor her. It's not something that you usually see very much of in the main categories, but it is worth noting.
The turtle.
There's been a couple times the turtle caught me by surprise when I didn't have like gravity suit and prematurely whatever I was trying to do.
Yeah, if you play randomizers and you're trying to jump on the oh crap, if you're trying to jump on the turtle to like ride it up and you don't have gravity suit or anything, like you don't have any suits, and the turtle kind of gets away from you, it gets really scary because it moves fast and does a lot of damage, especially without suits.
That's exactly what happened to me on Tuesday, actually.
Oh, really?
Fun times, yeah. I died to the turtle.
Don't mess with the mama turtle.
That's why we don't say.
no.
That's why we don't say
Protecting her
mama turtle.
babies.
I was playing Super Metroid Arcade, which is also a room randomizer, so I was not ready to get into that room. I did not go there voluntarily.
There you
The
go.
game just dropped me there, and I'm like, oh my god.
Did you play arcade or?
Yeah, that's what he was saying.
Oh, okay. I thought you just said room randomizer.
Well, it's a room randomizer with score based. It's pretty cool ROM hack. You should check it out.
No, yeah, we had a tournament on it once. It was really cool. But yeah, there's like room randomizers without the arcade function, so I didn't know if that was what you played. That's it. Like our community member Leorin made the arcade hack, and it's really well done and cool. So yeah, definitely wholeheartedly recommend that.
It's one of my favorite. Well, me and Shoku play it quite often.
Yeah, it's great. I just love like seeing people get really scared when like a battle crab comes out of a random scream at 2,000 miles per hour.
Yeah, one of the other cool things about arcade is the more rooms you go through, the more damage enemies do, and the progressively more fast they move. And so the crabs are one of the scariest enemies for sure, because they do a lot of damage. Even with gravity suit, they do a lot of damage normally. And so once they get high speed, they're terrifying, definitely.
Well, sometimes when you get into the Meridia elevator room, the one that takes you straight to Quiteria, there's these two spiky things that bury into the sand, and you can get in that room pretty early on, and they just one-shot you. That's like
those things
easy to avoid, but you just butterfinger it and then you die.
Those things are actually called ouches.
Ouches?
Yeah, ouch. OWTCH, I think.
Yep. I call them sand jerks.
That's a good name.
I can get behind that.
So I just want to point out, Zost made very quick work of a mini boss there called Botchwoon. He set up a very specific X factor, which is a special beam combo for Wave Beam, and then he just laid into Botchwoon with a bunch of missiles and super missiles. It was a very beautiful fight.
Well, thanks.
So, compliments to you on that, even though you used the impossible X Factor strat.
And I tip my hat off to the full Halfie right there. Classic.
Yeah, the shine spark across the long room is called nicknamed the full Halfie because back in the day, like 9 or 10 years ago, it was thought that trick was kind of too hard to go for the full version, and people would just do the half shine spark across half the room. It's a lot easier to do. Sorry, I'm fighting Dragon in the middle of my explanation here. But yeah, so when people got to where they could get better at doing the full room, the Halfie turned into the full Halfie, which is kind of a silly name, but we have a bunch of silly names as far as strategies and rooms in this game. It's one of the fun things about Super Metroid speedrunning. There's a lot of colorful names to it.
Yep. So you'll notice that Zost has what's called a blue suit right now. The way that he killed Dragon was using Shine Sparks, and if a Shine Spark gets interrupted, Samus turns blue like this, where she has permanent speed echoes. Zost is going to be able to use this to charge a Shine Spark and use that to get back across this room here called the Coliseum. Very nice.
Yeah, ideally there's a trick that we do called Spike Suit where you can run with that stored Shine Spark, but I missed it. It's a very tight trick to get.
Yeah, we'll just say it's double frame perfect.
Right, for ease of
it's a little more complex than that, but...
Sand Jerk.
See? It's a perfect name.
I do like it. I'm going to start using that.
They love to be in the way in the most inconvenient times.
So we're going to go ahead and turn off Varia Suit. Do you mind explaining that while we do that so early?
Yeah, sure. So right there you saw that Zost disabled Varia Suit and enabled Ice Beam and Spacer Beam. So I'll address both of these things here. Varia Suit was at the end of the game when you're fighting Mother Brain. It's called the stand-up glitch. Essentially, it allows Samus to stand up and do damage to Mother Brain earlier than you would normally be able to. And disabling Varia Suit makes it a lot easier to do that. So that's why we do that. He also re-enabled Ice Beam here because, as mentioned earlier, you need Ice Beam in order to go through this route. And the reason for that is you need to freeze this little guy. He's called a Puyo here. So you need to freeze him in a specific position so that you can clip through the ceiling there to get into this room. Normally, to get into this room, you would need Grapple Beam to go through a cracked grapple block and up and around. But because we can freeze that Puyo in that pixel-perfect position, we can just get around that, which allows this variation in the 100% routing. There was a while there where runners weren't doing this route because that was too inconsistent. Is that right, Zost?
Oh yeah, I would say that would be I mean, there's a number of reasons to not do this route, but I would say that was probably one of the biggest, if not the biggest.
Were you the one that found that first consistent setup?
Yes. So I was the one that found that setup for the ice beam clip. There are since different versions now. that are consistent. But the one I found is still like the fastest one, I think. Like Zinni actually uses the fast version of the original one I found. But I was kind of slowed down my version by about 20 frames to make it more consistent. But yeah, that and the bomb jump to wreck ship E-Tank was pretty instrumental. That was a 2Cat thing. 2Cat found that, or brought it up at least. And the health conservation in wreck ship after that E-Tank was also an issue without the extra E-Tank you get from doing Croc early. But I don't know who to credit for all, like, you know, all the room strats after that.
Right. Well, and you know, that's one of the great things about Super Metroid is, as a community, we all come together and kind of build the run.
Yeah.
It's really not just one person that puts everything together.
No, not even close. It's like hundreds of people probably that you're seeing the collective work of just from strategies and stuff. That was actually a new plasma room strat that a bunch of people worked on recently. I did not work on that actually, but yeah, it saves like 2 seconds from the previous strat, so it's like pretty big.
Yeah. So yeah, when Zo says recently, that was actually just this past week. There were, I think, 4, 5, 6 of us that all kind of got together and realized that room could be a lot faster than it was, and so we all kind of brought in different ideas and put it all together, and you did a great job of showing it there, so GG.
Ooh.
Feels bad.
Yeah, I hate when I mess up Cack Alley.
So yeah, that room is called Cack Alley, and when it goes wrong, it usually goes very wrong, unfortunately. But you know, probably still look fast to a lot of people, so.
No, I mean, this run's... I'm pretty happy with this run so far for a marathon run. Especially with being on the mic and stuff, too.
Yeah, absolutely. I am very bad at talking while I play this game. It's just something that I've come to realize. Oh, dang.
Yeah.
What a way to fail that.
I know, right?
Like the worst way. Especially because you could have saved it.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah, every once in a while I will go for that and I'll break all of the blocks and not make it up, and that's just
nothing you can do there, yeah.
Okay, so I didn't mention this, but the first time Zost went down the right side sand pit here, and this time he's going to go down the left. There are different items in the right and left, so as part of the route, we have to actually come down both of these sand pits.
Yeah, these sand pits are one of the biggest determining factors of the route to Meridia.
Have you ever accidentally fallen down the right sand pit the second time?
I'm pretty sure I have. I don't know. It's probably been a while, but I think I have. One of my favorites. I was gonna say one of my favorites was when I did an 80% run and I fell down the sand pit like before Batu and E-Tank.
Oh no.
Yeah. Oop.
Yeah, one of the people in our community recently was learning 100%. I went through the different sections and helped people out with it, and one of the comments that they gave me, they sent me a meme from Star Wars. It was Anakin saying, "I don't like sand," and I got a good chuckle out of that.
Yeah, that's good.
Sand is really awkward in Super Metroid. It likes to trap you. If you happen to fall into the sand in the wrong way, it can be really hard to get out sometimes. So,
if you want to laugh, you can do a shine spark in some sand and see what happens.
A horizontal shine spark, yeah.
Yeah, horizontal shine spark.
I remember the first time that happened to me. It was a few years ago, and I want to say I was like 40 seconds ahead of my PB or something. And,
oh my god.
My D-pad just decided to crouch randomly, and yeah, that run died. So that's all I'll say about that.
Look at that door.
Beautiful door. Beautiful. You know, you probably only lost like 3 frames there.
Hey, the swag, man. Think of the swag.
You know what else is swag?
What's up?
Donations. They're hella swag.
Hell yeah.
We got a $20 one from Silver Triforce saying, "I love animals. Please save them. It's for a good cause." And then we got a $1 donation by the local police / Royal Police, who says, "We here at the local police want to remind every viewer and participant of the NoReset DreamHack 2020 online marathon that while playing games fast can be fun, please do not break the speed limit in your selected mode of transportation. Whether it be by car, bike, or moose, please obey the speed limit."
You know, Zost, you hurt me inside when you tell me to think of the swag.
I knew you were gonna say this.
And then you didn't even do the blue fireball.
I knew.
I wasn't gonna say anything, and then you just had to point out that I wasn't thinking of the swag.
I know.
So now I'm gonna point out that you aren't thinking of the swag. Okay.
I felt that coming.
There's an old strat coming into that room. That was the statue actually that you have to have space jump to activate, by the way. And this is the item right here. So it's this missile pack actually that forces us to come down to Lower Norfair near the end of the run. Because if we don't have space jump, then we can't get to those missiles in any sort of reasonable way. So
At least I did the I was gonna say, at least I did GT really well.
Yeah, this fight is really hard. GT, you know, obviously is posing a huge threat to Zost, and now he's dead. So
it is hard to get that first like sequence correctly, though. For like maximum speed. I mean, I've been messing it up a lot lately, so I'm happy to get it there.
What just happened there was Zost stood in a specific spot that essentially just forces GT against the wall, and then he'll just sit there and either swipe at you or jump up and down, and he'll literally just do that forever if you let him. So makes the fight really trivial.
By the way, we got a $5 donation by Totally 50% Gaming, who says, "Hey everyone, changed my mind. We absolutely need to save the animals. $5 train towards that goal. Let's go."
I'll change your mind. Go watch the Terminal Montage YouTube video about Super Metroid speedruns and choose to save the animals and find out what happens.
Oh, is it a 100% accurate Super Metroid speedrun?
Yes, it's canon lore.
It's so good. The one for Mario 64 is pretty good too.
They're not as innocent as you think they are. So here's another power bomb that Zost laid specifically to make this door process faster. One of the cool things about Lower Norfair in 100% is, you know, in under normal circumstances, Lower Norfair is kind of a huge threat to runners in both any percent categories. In 100%, there are a lot of ways that you can lose time, but the likelihood of actually dying is very small.
These are called Kagos, where we clip through the platforms. These platforms are actually sort of considered enemies by the game, so you can sort of manipulate your way through them without too much difficulty. And I think it's specifically because of their enemy sort of classification within the game.
Very nice spring ball strat there.
Thanks. Oops.
Alright, so this is the Ridley fight. Zost is going to try and get a combination of 18,000 damage on Ridley as quickly as he can, using either charge shots, super missiles, or both. One thing to be noted about Ridley is that he loves to troll marathons.
Oh my god, the back bounce, man. So like Ridley has, what is it, like a 1 in 25 or something chance of back bouncing randomly?
Yeah, something. It might even be less common than that. It's
Yeah, when Ridley's pogoing, if you're, what if it's like if you're too close, he'll back bounce, but there's like a random back bounce too, where it'll bounce backwards, and it can really throw you off.
Yeah, I think he actually did that in my reverse boss order GDQ run.
Oh my god, that'd be a terrible place for it.
Well, if he hadn't done it, I would have died, actually.
Oh, really?
So, yeah, it was like him giving me a pass.
Wow.
It was like him saying, you know what? You deserve this. Go ahead, take the kill.
Like reversed good RNG.
You know, I will say I think the marathon gods were with me that day, and as a result, when I did my CRDQ run, they were most definitely not with me that day. So very nice clip there. It took you a couple tries to get there, but
And then you still got a damage boost on the way out.
yeah. It's honestly, there's so many things. This game is really hard to commentate for because as a runner, there are so many things that just look so normal to you that you know, like when you think about it, you're like, no, of course that's not normal. Like casually, people are wondering what the heck is going on.
Right. And things go by so quick, so you like start explaining stuff, and then it's like 1 minute ago is when it actually happened. At that point, when you're done.
The execution in this game is relentless, meaning that even if you think the runner is not doing anything specific, not a single input is there just for the heck of it. There's always something happening, some kind of execution or a setup for future execution happening. It's a very demanding run, a very demanding game.
That's what I love about this run, though. Like, there's so much to it, and so much to like improve. Like, you're never done improving at this game, which is honestly one of the appeals to it. The fact that it's so difficult to control and control well, and the deepness to the control.
So Zoth just did a speedball up into that maze. That's actually called the Hodarubi Special. I was going to mention this earlier, but Hodarubi is kind of an old school runner who like smashed all of the world records for this game, what, 10, 15 years ago?
Yeah, like starting around like 2007 or 6 or something like that. Oops.
And you know, he spent quite a lot of time doing like ROM hacks and stuff like that. He kind of fell off the grid for a while, but he's been back in the community recently, and even now, I would say once every couple weeks he posts some strat that saves time compared to what people have been doing for years, and it's crazy to see. Like, it's like seeing this fabled legend in action today. It's really cool, honestly.
Yeah, Hodarubi's run on Speed Demos Archives was the one that got me into Super Metroid speedrunning, so for me it's like super cool. It's like my speedrun hero playing the game again after all these years.
I believe when I did... Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, the first SDA Super Metroid run I ever saw, I think, was Red Scarlet back in the day.
Same here.
That's what got me into speedrunning the game before I even knew speedrunning was a thing. I was like 14 years old, 15.
Are you me? Because that's like my story.
I wish I was with like half the skill. Unfortunately, I'm nowhere near there.
I was too
It's all about
slow.
the practice, man.
Oh, I know. Trust me, I'm not making light of what anyone's doing with any speed game, really. Like, a lot of people are like, oh, this is an easy speed game. There is no such thing. It's an investment in time and dedication, no matter which game you're playing. Super Metroid a little bit more so, but you know what I mean.
I do, absolutely.
And to anyone watching saying, oh, I wish I could do that, I mean, you don't need to be battling for the top 5 position on the leaderboard to be speedrunning.
You have to start somewhere. I mean, everybody does. You don't start at the top. You're not going to, so... Like, I kept one of my very early speedruns of this game on my YouTube channel just to show that, like, I was terrible when I started as well.
I'm curious as to what you qualify as a terrible run.
I think it was, like... It's like 50 minutes in-game time, any percent or something like that. It wasn't like my first run by any means, but it was a pretty early one.
Yep. Absolutely. So Zos just got behind Crocomire here. You're not supposed to be able to do that, and so you notice that Samus kind of appeared there, and now Crocomire is walking backwards through Samus. What is actually happening here, the game teleported Samus over to the left, but didn't move the camera to follow her, and so even though it looked like she was still on the right, she was actually over here on the left by the door.
It's not a soft lock.
So this is what Zos was talking about earlier, which is a spike suit. Essentially, if you unmorph on the frame after you take damage from spikes, and then you activate a Shine Spark 10 frames later, Samus gets stuck in the air like that, and now he has a Shine Spark to use wherever he pleases. This is a gift and a curse, because there are a lot of ways that you can accidentally activate a Shine Spark without meaning to. And the goal here is to carry this Shine Spark for the next few minutes of the run to use it in a specific place. So hopefully I'm not cursing you by saying this, but...
That's okay. Hey... Hey, I did this. I did the full strat.
It's a great strat.
Mm-hmm. So grapple beam can actually open doors earlier than other beams. Do you mind explaining that?
Yeah, sure. So grapple beam travels very quickly, much more quickly than a beam does, and so you saw Zost actually use it to open that door there. The reason for that was to open the door earlier so that he wouldn't have to wait for it to finish opening before he could run through. If you use a beam to open that door, you'll bonk if you run immediately. So.
Yeah, grapple has some sort of... It's kind of... I think it's like a Doppler effect where it's moving forward, but Samus is also moving forward, like pushing it forward as it moves forward as well. So then I think that's what makes it faster than the beams. I could be wrong, but... Yeah,
well, I mean, you can Doppler beams too. But I think the effect on grapple is magnified. If you're running forward and you shoot grapple in the wrong spot, it's actually pretty easy for grapple to go completely through the door and not activate it. So.
Also, if I'm not mistaken, it's used against underwater enemies quite a bit too. No.
Depending on the enemy, yes. In certain categories. Grapple is very, very powerful in reverse boss order, both for item collection, like farming, and for movement and killing enemies in Meridia.
Yeah, one very interesting thing about grapple that some people don't know is that, like, if you're doing suitless Meridia and you're trying to freeze things to get on top of them, sometimes you can, if you freeze them in the wrong spot, you can unfreeze like a fish with the grapple beam. It's kind of a weird little thing.
There are a lot of little things that were programmed into grapple beam that, you know, the attention to detail is just amazing, for sure.
There's our Shine Spark. We got there.
Spoilers.
Sorry.
So yeah, this is where Zost used his spike suit to get all the way across this very long room very quickly. And now we're going to be picking up the X-ray visor, which is the best item in the game because it allows you to see where hidden items are, obviously. And it can also be used to completely break this game wide open with some pretty insane glitches. But we won't be doing any of those today.
Yeah, there's a few items that you still would have trouble finding with just X-ray alone. But obviously it's good for hunting items in a casual playthrough. Like Mama Turtle the missile on the side of Mama Turtle's room is one that you can't scan with X-ray, I believe. If I'm not mistaken.
So you can ride Mama Turtle up to the right side of the room and scan it that way. But who's gonna do that? So.
I mean, I did.
Well, there you go.
There you go.
In a rando. Just for the heck of it.
So this is the last cleanup section of the game, and kind of fittingly, it's also probably the most difficult cleanup section of the game in terms of movement. So.
Yeah, one thing that makes 100% hard is that you have all these movement options, so it allows for a lot of really difficult strategies, having all the options at your disposal and going as fast as possible.
And Zoast is doing a beautiful job of getting through all of these rooms.
Also, the fact when you have like speed booster and high jump boots, and like you have everything at your disposal.
Yeah,
especially for newer players, some techs are actually harder to pull off.
For sure. Like low percent ice, like our low percent run, our main low percent run. In some ways it's harder. Like as a casual playthrough, it would be way harder than 100%. But for like a seasoned player, the movement is so much easier because you don't have speed, high jump, or anything like that.
Right.
So like clean movement is not really the difficulty of that particular run. There's definitely difficulties to it as far as like boss fights and boss fights are probably the biggest one that you can lose so much time on if you're not really good at the boss fights. But this category is probably more movement oriented, where any percent sort of in the middle a little bit.
I would agree with that, definitely. So you saw Zoast carry that Shine Spark through the elevator. Kind of nice that the timer on it doesn't actually count down during elevators. Makes getting back through this room much easier. And of course, you platform back out of the old Mother Brain pit with E.
I've gotten better at it.
Hate that.
Just like letting go of run makes that so much easier, basically.
Yeah, that's what I've started doing. It's one of the few areas in the run where I don't even try to hold dash.
This will be our last item collection coming up.
Yep. So one of the first missile packs that you can grab casually, and so it's kind of fitting that it's the very last one that we grab in this particular route.
Zinni, I've been trying to go ride side coming out of there, and I keep messing it up really bad.
It's awkward at first.
Right.
I promise it's better.
No, I've tested with it, and I know it's better, so I'm going for it. But it's like new strats are the hardest strats. Strats that are new to you are just like the hardest.
Yeah.
It takes a while to internalize these things. That grapple door is the easiest, though.
If it helps, I didn't even notice. like thinking back, I can remember that you were kind of stumbling through that room a little bit, but it wasn't like, oh, he went right side and ruined everything. Just one of those things. You have a lot of super missiles.
Good.
Just gonna point that out.
Yeah, Ridley didn't really give me. I don't know. I need to practice Ridley more as far as manipulating him for super missiles. But I kind of like having super missiles here. But this is like too much right here.
Right.
This is not optimal. It's too many. I wonder what. I mean, I like to have more than I feel like you do here. But this, yeah, you don't need 24.
Yeah, I definitely gamble. I'm fully aware of that.
Right.
Sometimes I get through Turian and I have 3 left, and sometimes I get through and I have 12 left. It's just how it is.
Right. I mean, it makes sense to gamble. Because I don't think you really lose that much time on missiles from Mother Brain 1.
Yeah, it's a little bit. It kind of depends on how well you're able to optimize the missile fight. But, all right, so these are this is Turian.
This is where you want to look at the hand cam the most, I'd say.
Yeah, for sure.
Probably the most interesting place.
You need to shut up so that you can focus on these rooms. These are the Metroid rooms, and getting through these quickly is probably, if not the hardest, one of the hardest things to do in this game, in this category. So.
Ah. Oh, good room 3.
Very nice.
Thanks.
All right, and then the last thing that we're coming up on here, before the very tail end of this area, is the baby. This is
the big boy.
The baby. This is the Super Metroid here. If you remember at the beginning of the game, there was the baby Metroid, and it is now very big. Oh, how they grow so fast.
I know.
So Zost was able to manipulate the baby there in such a way that he didn't get grabbed. Usually the game intends for you to get grabbed by that baby, and it essentially creates a very long cutscene. But you can manipulate it and avoid it through the room, and it saves a lot of time, especially in 100%.
Yeah, there's a faster way to do that with Spring Ball, but I usually only go for that. I should have gone into the glass there. I usually only go for the Spring Ball skip when I'm just on the edge of PBing and I sort of need it for the extra push. So like my 2 PBs before my most recent one actually have a Spring Ball skip, but I generally don't go for it.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it is faster, but if you don't have a very clear understanding and practice with it, it can go very wrong. So it definitely makes sense to go with the other skip.
I just want to point out that Kill the Animals is still in the lead at $1,900, whereas Save the Animals lagging behind at $1,741. So if anyone wants to snipe, now's the time, because when that head rolls, so does Save or Kill the Animals.
So what he's saying is donate to Kill the Animals, please.
Donate to Save, so the Kill people need to donate more, so it's all more money towards the charity, is what I mean. But, by still keeping Save ahead by just a little bit.
Little grapple swag for you for the stream.
Too bad you were perfectly centered there. So you are stressing me out the way that you're inching toward her like that.
Gotta get that baby manip.
Dude, when I try to inch toward Mother Brain like that, I always take more damage than I need to. I don't know why. I don't know why that is.
Yeah, if you run into Metroid, if you run into the Mother Brain, kind of really fast, you'll take a double hit basically. So I was just wanting to take a single hit there.
Yeah, Mother Brain ignores iframes, so you can take a lot of damage from Mother Brain very quickly. So this is the stand-up glitch that I was referencing earlier. You'll notice that Zost is shooting Mother Brain during this cutscene. This is actually damaging Mother Brain. Essentially, if you're able to shoot her 40 times, that will completely deplete her HP before the final phase.
Yeah, and I dragged the baby Metroid to the right before it detached, because it speeds up the detachment a lot. Or it speeds up the Metroid basically, going to start to try to attack Mother Brain and then unfortunately dying.
It manipulates the cutscene essentially.
So we probably should cut the donation war here.
Yep. Save or
we
kill.
Got a $200 bazillion donation to nothing. And we are indeed final refresh, just to make sure that nothing's come in at the very last second. And we are indeed killing the animals. Congratulations, everyone.
All right.
Save the frames.
Got Blue Bomber. Didn't get the Aqueduct Spring Ball
Nice.
blue, but at least I got Blue Bomber.
Yep.
Oh, that was supposed to be a Moonfall, but okay.
Yeah. So when you miss big long moonfalls like this, I think it was Desi that referred to it as Mary Poppins, and I've started calling it that as well. Final Shine Spark up the climb here.
Oh, you
And
forgot to go down to Bomb Chorizo.
Time is
Time.
on the ship here. Just a second.
Ah, so close to 114.
Yeah.
Nice run.
I think the timer started late. I actually do think the timer started late.
Yeah, you think?
Because
Here's the thing with the RTMP, I go on your cue, on your vocal cue when I start and when I end. So if it's a little bit offset, the actual time between the beginning and the end is accurate.
right. Oh well. Yeah, I don't know. I just noticed I got the bomb trees at like 446, and I was like, that doesn't seem right.
Very nice run.
Yes.
Oh, that was amazing.
Either way, a low 115 is really good for a marathon. I'm very happy with it either way. Don't mean to complain. Thanks again for having me too, and thanks so much for commentating, Zinni, as well.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity.
Well, thanks to the both of you for being here with us tonight. It's always an honor to have such high-tier speedrunners with us. And Zos, you know me. I've always been a big fan of your work. And Zenny, you too. I mean, you both are legends, and thank you for basically coming to this humble marathon and spending the night with us. We truly appreciate it.
Yeah,
Not a
thank
problem.
you.
Glad to be here.
I will say, if you liked what you saw tonight, please come join the community. We're always looking for more people to come run this game, and we're very welcoming to new players and helping them get going. And it's definitely people like to point out how difficult it is as a speed game, but it's also very rewarding. So
It's fair. There's not a lot of quote-unquote bullshit that you can get. It's basically, if you miss something, there's some execution that you didn't do, or yes, there's RNG with Phantoon with the patterns and everything and whatnot, but in terms of the controls and everything, usually if something happens, there's a reason for why it happened, and there's actually something you can do about it in future runs. And what you said about the community is entirely true. I can vouch for that, because back in 2013 or 2014, when I was actively running this game, I was just streaming on Twitch because I didn't want to use my hard drive space to save my runs to submit onto the leaderboards. And people were just members of the community were just like looking for people running Super Metroid on Twitch, and they came onto my channel and they started giving me pointers and they started coaching me, and they were the most helpful people out there. So definitely give it a shot. Don't be intimidated by the legacy of the game, both as a video game and the speed game. They have really good people behind it.
yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Any last comments you want to make before the run is validated, Zos?
I think I'm good. I think y'all covered it pretty well.
Well, to anyone who's ever watched a Super Metroid run in any capacity, in chat, you know what's coming up, you know what to do. Wait for it.
Dear Force.
Dear Force!
What a great thing.
It's the best thing. Especially that, at a live event, it's even more so impactful when everyone just destroys their vocal cords.
Yeah, I remember the first time I watched a GDQ run and everybody yelled Deer Force, and I was like, why are they yelling Deer Force? And then I saw it like on the credits, and I was like, oh, okay. So
Thanks
yeah, there it is, 100%. The run is validated, and once again, just want to thank you guys for the opportunity, and congratulations, Zos. That was an amazing run for sure.
Yep, thanks, y'all.
All right. Once again, thanks to the both of you. And coming up next, we have a super secret showcase coming up. We're gonna go get ready for that, and we'll be right back. Stay tuned.